So we were working with absolute value equations, and now we're going to work with absolute value inequalities. So they're not equations. And we do them separately. So we do less thans, and then we'll do the greater thans. So first we're going to work with the less thans. So they're going to have something like, the absolute value of, and there'll be something inside here, is less than, and then they're going to have some number, there. So let's take an example and talk about it a little bit. Let's say we have the absolute value of x is less than 5. Well, if you think about that, what does it mean? Well, here's 0, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, if you had, 4.9, that would be okay, right? So 4.9, the absolute value of that's less than 5. You have 4, you have 3, you have all these numbers. 0 is less, the absolute value of 0 is less than 5. And then what happens now if we go to the negative numbers? So you can kind of see we're going in this less than direction. So say you have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Well, if I take the absolute value of -1, I get 1, right? And 1 is less than 5, so no problem. And that keeps happening for -2 and -3 and -4 and -4.9. Like if I take the absolute value of -4.9, is that less than 5? Yeah, because 4.9 is less than 5. But what happens when I get to -5? Well, then I have a problem because the absolute value of -5 is not less than 5. So I have to stop there. So I get this in-between situation where I can have numbers less than 5, but only so small, because then when I take the absolute value, they get larger than the original number. So it's an in-between situation. I call it a less than sandwich. Because what you're going to do, like if I have this one right here, the setup would be then you're going to put x in the middle and you're going to say it has to be less than 5, but it has to be greater than -5. Okay? So you sandwich it in between. It's an in-between situation. You can't have x get too small because then the absolute value won't be less than 5. So you can think about that for a little bit, try some examples or something, but I remember it by thinking less than sandwich. Okay, so we have a couple of examples. First one says, graph the solution and write the solution in interval notation. We have the absolute value of x is less than 9. So what I do is I take it out of the absolute value, there's my x, and I sandwich it between 9 and -9. So -9 is less than x is less than 9. And the graph is going to look like this. Here's x, or I'm sorry, here's 0, here's 9, here's -9. So I kind of already did this example. So parentheses, because we don't want it to equal 9. And it's going to be all the numbers in between then, 9 and -9. Oops, I went out of the parentheses there a little bit. Okay. How do I write the interval notation? The interval notation comes from the graph. It's parenthesis, -9, comma, 9, parenthesis. Now, if you don't put those 9s in the right order, like if you switched it and put 9, comma, -9, that's not right. So we're real picky on the interval notation, but that's how we get the right answers. So, okay. Now we have one that has a little bit more work to it, but the same concept. So we have the absolute value, which, by the way, you still isolate the absolute value, and it's isolated. So we're going to take that absolute value part, 2x minus 1, and we're going to sandwich it in between -5 and +5. So 2x minus 5 has to be greater than or equal to -5, and it has to be less than or equal to 5. And then this is like that compact form of the compound inequalities that we were doing in another section. So we just add 1 to all 3 sections. You get -4 is less than or equal to 2x is less than or equal to 6. Divide everything by 2. And you get -2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 3. They want us to graph the solution, so that's good practice. Here comes my number line. Here's 0, here's -2, 1, 2, 3. And what do I want? This time I want solid or brackets. So I'm going to be putting a bracket because I have the equal to part. And then I want the numbers in between. Okay, how do I write the interval notation? Bracket, -2, comma, 3, bracket. And that's the way that one looks. So you've got the graph and the interval notation. So with less than, think less than, sandwich it. Sandwich it between the negative case and the positive case. That's it for this one.